Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to Jamie Photography. So, we've been taking photographs for many years, and we've had digital cameras now for sort of almost 20 plus years now. And I look back quite often over my past catalogue and look at some of the images I took 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I think, wow, how things have changed today, not only with the quality of the modern cameras, of course, but also with our abilities to post process and edit these images. And with all these modern tools that we have at our disposal, is it really worth going back and visiting some of your older images and seeing if you can rework them and bring them alive? So this shot here, this is Esbjerg Harbour in Denmark. I was working out there in between 2012 and 2014, and I've been working in the offshore wind industry most of my professional career as a consultant electrical engineer. And you can see a vessel in the distance there, a very large ship. It's the Pacific Orca. It's a large construction vessel that installs the turbines, and it has 6 legs, so it can jack itself out the water even when it's in the middle of the North Sea. So I went to take a shot. This is the image I've processed now, but where did we start? Well, the image I was really quite proud of originally was this image here. This was shot with a Canon 6D, and I thought I'd done quite well, but it is a little bit overblown on the highlights in places, and it is rather dark. And with those cameras from sort of 10 plus years ago, we didn't have quite the capabilities in recovering the highlights and the shadows as we do today. I can show you how we can take what we thought was a good image and improve it still further for the modern times using the tools that we have available to us. If you enjoy the video as you go through, feel free to click like and put your comments down below. Any questions or tips, always welcome. If you haven't already subscribed, feel free to do so and join me on my ongoing adventure here on YouTube. Also, if you'd like to follow along, you're welcome to download this raw file. I'll put a link down below. You can download the raw file and follow along with me as we go. I will be using Adobe Photoshop as well as Lightroom, of course, but I'm also going to use a little bit of Luminar today as well. It's the Luminar Neo. If you're interested in purchasing, I've got a link down below, affiliate link down below. It gives you a little bit of a discount. It's quite a good piece of software. I love using it as a plugin, and I'm going to show you some of the things it can do today. So I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, let's get started. So yeah, image taken 10 years ago. Let's bring up the details there. So yeah, 17th of December 2014, so almost to the date 10 years ago. And it was taken with my Canon 6D at the time, 20 megapixel. Actually, at the time, I felt it was a very good camera, and I was very happy with the images that it produced. And at the time, I was quite proud of this image, and I thought I'd succeeded here with a nighttime shot. And at the time I was working in the wind industry, offshore wind industry, and this was one of the big construction vessels you can see in the distance there, Pacific Orca. And I thought I'd done a great shot of it. But let's revisit now with the power that we have at our fingertips with Lightroom and Photoshop and Luminar, etc. Today, we can do some quite incredible things. So let's revisit this image. I'm going to first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring the highlights down, make sure we've got plenty of dynamic range. We'll zoom in there and see that, yeah, we're a little bit overexposed in places, but most of it has been recovered. I'm going to open up the shadows all the way. And what I'm also going to do is just brighten the scene a little bit more as well. So let's come up one full stop. And I'm just going to back off the temp to a bit more blue to take away the overall orange glare. Obviously a lot of lights here, which were giving orange glow. So I'm just going to back that away. There we go, to about 2,800 roughly. That will give us a nice sort of color balance there. But what you will notice, if I zoom in here, you will notice quite a bit of noise, even though it was shot at 100 ISO. It was 30-second exposure f11. ISO 100, still quite a bit of noise there because we've raised that by 3 or 4 stops with the shadows and another stop with the exposure. So we're actually pushing there probably around about 1600 ISO in the shadows. And if we pushed it further in the darker areas, and I can do that, let's come up another stop. Let's go to 2 stops over. So we're now talking sort of 3200 ISO and you can start to see how, particularly with the older Canon sensors, they started to struggle a little bit with recovering the shadows. But I'm not going to go that far. We're just going to drop that to 1 stopover. I think that's good enough. But what we are going to do is apply one of the new features that we're sort of commonplace now with Denoise, this AI feature. And again, I'll zoom in here. We can look at this area here, and I'll tell you what I will do. Let me go back to that 2 stops, and I'll show you literally how good the AI noise correction is these days. So let's go down to Denoise. I'm going to select Denoise. Now it is quite noisy. It is an older sensor. So I'm going to select, where should we go? Probably around, I think 65 where it was. I think 65% on the Denoise should be good enough. It says it's going to take 4 seconds. Well, it is only a 20 megapixel image, so it shouldn't take too long. So I'm just going to click enhance there. As you can see, it's just whipping through that. And wow, there we go. Look at that. It's got rid of almost all the noise completely. I mean, that is pretty impressive. So just going to back that back down again, because we don't need to be at 2 stops. I think 1 stop will probably be, maybe come up 1.5. Let's go 1.5. So what are we going to do with the image? Well, we've corrected the noise. It already looks a lot better. I love the mist in the distance. I'd like to turn this light on over here, and I'd like to remove these buoys we've got in the water here, because they were moving slightly. Obviously, a 30-second exposure. So we can do that in Photoshop. We can do that in Luminar. Any of the places you can do that. But what I do want to do is I want to light this light, and in doing so, I've got to create this sort of aperture flare that we can see on all the other lights. So I can show you a little trick of how we can do that. First of all, we're gonna zoom in onto this lamp here. Let's go in at 400%, and what we're going to do is just light that up. So we're going to go into masks. We're going to pick a radial, and we're just going to take a little radial filter there, and then I'm just going to turn that so it sits in the same direction as the lamp itself. There we go. Going to put that to 100%. I'm then going to right click and duplicate that mask again, so it really is quite bright. And I'm even going to probably raise the whites to maximum as well on that one, and maybe even bring the highlights up, so we've got it as bright as we can go. What we will need to do is put some light on this on the actual lamp post itself, because obviously when the light's on, it will light up the lamp post. Now, there's a couple of ways we can do this. One of my favorite ways is to create a new mask, select object, and take a little brush here. So let's just make that a little bit smaller. And what we'll do is we will select the column. So I'm just going to go in here, and I'm going to come down here quite a way, because we'll get quite a bit lighter. Now it's selected, okay? So we're going to make it really bright, like we just did. Now you think, well, that doesn't look right. Yeah. So what we'll do in that mask, we're going to go to the 3 dots. We're going to intersect with a linear gradient, okay? And then what we're going to do is we can choose. Let me just rotate this over. There we go. We can choose to have 100% at the top of the, just at the top there, like so. And then we can bring this down. Let's just make sure it's roughly straight. And then we can bring this down, so you can see that we can choose how much light that we actually want on there. So I'm probably not going to go all the way, but let's go quite bright there. And I'm just going to denoise that as well. There's a little bit of noise there because we've pushed those blacks all the way to the fore. So I'm just going to go down to noise reduction and throw that over to the right, as you can see, and maybe even just take out a little bit of the moire as well. You can see that there's just a little bit in there, and I'm going to go back up to the top and just go back to the full, maybe the full brightness there. I think that looks pretty authentic actually, with it being that bright. We can even bring it down further if we want to. So maybe at the top here it's a bit too bright, right nearest the light. So we can always go back into that mask, subtract a brush, make sure we've got 100% feather and quite a low level of flow, and then just wash a few times at the top there, just like that. So if I zoom back out there, let's just go to 100% for now, come out the masks. you'll see that it's sort of lit up over there like so. Now you can see this one here, look, it's really bright. It's almost burnt through there, so that could probably even be brighter. So let's go back into that mask. There we go. And then we'll bring the highlights up and we'll bring the whites up. So it's really, really bright towards the top there. Now, how do we get the flare on this light? Well, I think the best way to do that is to use the sun rays effect in Luminar Neo and Luminar 4 as well. So if I just right click here, I'm just going to pop over into Luminar Neo and we'll send this over using the Lightroom edits and adjustments. There we go. So we're going to add this sort of flare effect. So the best way to do that is to go into edit, and then we're going to go down to sun rays, and then we're going to place the center of the sun. So I'm just going to take that there. Now, just going to zoom in a little bit on the image, hold down the space bar to get it in the right place. And I'm just going to place the sun where the lamp is. And then we can move the amount slider. So if I bring that to the right there, you can see we can start to create that. Now it's rather large at the moment, so we can bring the overall look down, or we can go in the middle with that. Sun ray lengths, well, we need to make them a bit smaller. Okay, so they need to be a similar sort of length to the ones that are going on over here, but a bit bigger because it's a little bit closer. So, and then we've got the penetration. So we can actually, you could also make it like it's a really bright light. And let me just bring that look back a little bit. Maybe bring the amount back. There we go. Just reduce that down a little bit more. So it's quite a bright light there. Maybe the length is just bring them back as far as we can. You've got different settings down below. You've got these sun radius and glows, so we can decrease or increase the amount of overall glow around the light. So we can bring that back to quite low actually. And the sun glow we can also bring back. Sun radius we can bring back. So just going to make that center bright though, so we've got that there. And then the ray settings, I think the number is probably a bit high, so you can move them around and decide how many you want, trying to get it look relatively accurate. So that should be good. And I'm just going to add some warmth into that. So the warmth on the light itself, not too warm, and the rays just need to be a little bit more orange. Let me just make that there. Just a little bit there. So that's quite big. Let me just zoom back and just see how that looks. It's a bit too big, so we can thin that down still further. So let's reduce the glow. That's it, and reduce the radius of the lamp. Bring the penetration back a little bit, and we can just move it until we're happy that it looks like something similar. So I'd like it to be more uniformed. So let's go to randomize, and we can just see, we go around until we get a shot that's sort of, so I'm going to go with that one there. So let's come out of sun rays and just see what it looks like. That's not too bad. That's pretty good. Looks pretty authentic. Of course, we're going to have light in the water down here as well. So to do the reflection of the light, I'm actually going to do that in Photoshop, because I want to use the stamp tool to pull this one across so we can sort of map that over. And I think probably when we go back into Lightroom, we're going to make this a little bit brighter as well. But whilst we're here in Luminar, we're just going to go to the Twilight Enhancer. I quite like this, and you can select a different sort of blend of light. So the mauve is quite good, and if I just bring that up, you see that was -100, so it's just applied that. So you go back to somewhere around about here, a little bit bright there. Just bring that temperature down just a little bit. You've also got your water reflections, so you can include the color of the sky in the water reflection here, so it sort of matches a little bit, and we'll take that blur away. That's pretty good. So I'm going to say, yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's drop this back into Lightroom. We'll just make this lamp a little bit brighter. So back into Lightroom. There we go. And we've got the lamp there. So let's just make that a little bit brighter. So I'm just going to take another radial gradient here. I just want to add a little bit of glare around that lamp itself in the center there. And just bring up that exposure ever so slightly. So it's really starting to sort of pop like the other ones are. You can see these are really quite bright. And then I'm just going to take one more. So I'm going to right click, duplicate that mask and make it smaller. So we've got it really bright there in the center. And so you've got that sort of glare coming on there. So that looks pretty good. Right, let's just drop this back to fit. So we're going to want to take out these boys and also do this reflection. So let's go into Photoshop now. So I'm just going to come out of the masks, right click, edit in Photoshop, Adobe. There we go. Yes, edit a copy with the Lightroom adjustments. And we'll just take this over into here. So just going to drop into the remove tool. So you can click J or go over to the remove tool here. And then we can literally just select these. Now, with the remove tool, you just have to go around the outside. It will automatically fill in the center if you create a complete sort of circle or a joined up shape. So just highlighted all of those. I've got sample all layers ticked. So I'm just going to hit the check mark to clear those out. It's done a good job there. We're going to need to copy this light over into this area here. I think this one we're going to need to copy over. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the stamp clone tool. There we go. Slightly bigger brush. Just going to take a snip from here. So Alt or Option, click, and then I'm just going to come over here and just plonk this down here, and we'll just paint that in. There we go, like so. Down a little bit and just put the light in. There we go, nothing more. So it's sort of reflecting on the water there. I'm just going to blur the edges. So I'm just going to go to the blur tool here. We're just going to zoom in and we're just going to blur those edges where they meet the water. So it's got a little bit of line across there. Just blur that. There we go. Lovely job. So do we need to do anything else whilst we're here in Photoshop? Let's have a look, fit screen. No, because we'll do the rest of this in Lightroom. Quite happy with that. Yep, let's jump back into Lightroom. So close and save. Back into Lightroom. There we go, got that light down there. So let's just make these a little bit brighter on both sides because they're nice and bright at the top. The reflections need to be a little bit brighter. So let's go into the masks. Let's select a radial gradient. I'm just going to take quite a large one for these ones over here. We're just going to put that at an angle like so and just bring the brightness up on that side. There we go. I'm going to do the same with this one. So create a new radial gradient. We'll just take quite a large one, which sort of reflects this whole sort of light area up there. And we're just going to bring that up a little bit. Just bring that up a little bit. That's okay. It's a little bit green, so let's add some magenta in there just to blend that away. Not too much. There we go. So we've got that reflection there, got that brightness there. Maybe the center needs to be even brighter still. So I'm just going to right click and duplicate the mask. And then I'm just going to take quite a small radial here just to highlight that. Not too bright on that one. Just enough. There we go. That looks good. A little bit more up top as well. Create another mask, another radial. I think we need something in here just to really bring that sort of center of that light up a little bit more. There we go. There, that works. And I'm just going to put some color in there. We just need to put some color into this light up here just to make it sort of, it work quite well. This is this light down here is still rather colourful, so we're just going to select that there, and we're just going to desaturate that a little bit. Just bring that back, and maybe drop a little bit of the magenta out just on that top one. So there we go. So that's good. So let's just finish this image off. One thing we do need to do is we do need to do the perspective. So I'm going to come out of the masks, going to go all the way down to transform. Let's try auto. Well, that works reasonably well. It's going up a little bit there, so let's go to guided instead. Let's take the edge of this this tower here, little crane here. So we'll take that as a vertical. Of course, we'll take this street light as a vertical. There we go. And we'll take the key side over there as a horizontal. So almost there, just up a little bit more. There we go. So that works well. Just gonna sort out the last part of the image here. We're just gonna make it a little bit brighter. Bring those highlights down just a little bit more. I'm just going to desaturate the image a little bit, -10, -12, and add in some vibrance just to make it pop a little bit. I want it still brighter, so let's open those shadows up. Not too much. I don't want this bottom bit here too bright. Let's just open them up. And then let's just raise the whole exposure a little bit more. That works quite well. And just to finish the image off, I think we could do a crop. So I'm just going to go into the crop tool, select 16:9. So we can get that sort of in the shot there. That's okay. Hit return. And then I just want to darken the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to go back into the masks, grab a linear gradient from the top, like so, and just darken the top of the image down. Maybe add some blue in there as well, just to do that. And we'll do one for the bottom as well. Create a linear gradient, bring that up from the bottom as well, and just darken that off as well down there. And I think we're getting somewhere. I think we're getting quite close to saying this is okay. Maybe we will just brighten the whole thing a little bit more. Let's do our whites and our blacks. So hold down the Alt or Option key and move the slider. So the light we've put it in there is nice and bright. The lights and distance about right. So +7, and the blacks, well, there's plenty of black on the left, so we don't need to make any more black. That works quite well. I'm going to give the whole image a little bit more clarity. Just going to bring that up a little bit, and I'm going to give a little tiny bit of texture, really make the whole image pop. And you know what? I'm going to say that that's good. So a 10-year-old image that we had, using some of the more modern tools that we now have at our disposal. So where did we start? Well, this is where we started. That was the image that I was quite proud of, I have to say, when I first shot it 10 years ago on my camera, my Canon 6D, and now same image. We've just revisited using a little bit more of the tools available to us today, and actually it comes out quite good. Maybe just a little bit bright in the distance there, so maybe we can bring those highlights down just a little bit further. And just bring the exposure up. There we go. Add a little bit of contrast to this image as well, just to finish it off. Yeah, and I'm going to say that's a done shot. I'm pretty happy with that, actually. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Quick one, this time, but just showing you that you can go back and revisit your old photographs, and as long as you shot them in RAW, you still have the opportunity to really, bring them to life using these modern tools. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd love you to click like, and if you've got any comments, feel free to put them down below. Also, questions or tips. I do enjoy reading your comments. And if you haven't already subscribed, then please feel free to join me here on YouTube. And for now, I'm going to say bye-bye.